Abeke Washte. My name is Tamaka Washtewi, her good earth woman.
I started.
I am enrolled member of Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. I am from the Cannonball River. But what happened at Standing Rock on my home was something I could never imagine. So in 2014, they came and they said, LaDonna, you got to come up and talk to us. And so I went up and talked to Washte, Wee Young, and she said, LaDonna, they're proposing a pipeline. You need to look at these maps. And I said, oh my God, it's in my backyard. And I tell everybody there was no common sense. I did not think, I only felt. Who would build a pipeline next to my son's grave? Who would do that? And so for me, that's the only thing that I thought of. No, you ain't gonna do this. So then we started going through all the processes of negotiation, consulting, and that's when I first learned that these agencies lie to you. These agencies do not consult with you. Mm-hmm. They will call some member of the tribe and say, we consulted with the tribe. Mm-hmm. They do not do informed consent. Because we're indigenous people, people make it like we don't exist. One of the major problems with indigenous people is we are below poverty level. So in large extraction companies, these people are too poor to fight us in court, so they're expendable. I went to a meeting and I sat in the back room and I was the only native there and I was listening to these people talk about this pipeline. And as they were talking about rerouting from the city of Bismarck to the south to an expendable territory. And I thought, expendable territory? My home's expendable territory? And then they said, this is virgin territory. It hasn't been touched. And I thought, we live there.
Mommy.
And then they said, we were expendable. And it was the first time I ever thought, this is how they really think about us, expendable people. And we are not expendable. One of the things that I do know as Native people is we're standing. We have already been through residential schools and boarding schools and termination, extermination, poison, sterilization, attacks of the women. We have been through everything. And where are we? We're still standing. My grandma said that must mean we're the meanest, toughest people in the whole world. So when they were going around, our chairman went out to all the communities, was telling the communities about this proposed pipeline in February of 2016. There was a young man named Joseph White Eyes, a young girl named Jocelyn Charger, and Joy Brown. And they said, we have been fighting XL Pipeline. Would you guys be able to start a camp? And nobody spoke up in this meeting, so at the end of the meeting I went and I said, I have land. You could come and start a camp on my land. And they said, where's your land? I said, well, I live on the Cannonball River. They said, when can you show us? I said, well, I don't know. They said, tomorrow? I said, okay. So I took them down there and he said, this is perfect. When do you want to start a camp? I was like, well, I don't know. And they said, we'll start April 1st. I said, in 5 days? They said, yes. So on April 1st, we were meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers to tell them our objections to this pipeline. And so we put out a call. We are a band of a nation. So we put out the call to the whole nation. The Oshatishakoan, which are in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Nebraska, Northern Colorado, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. And they came. So the nations all pulled in. And it was like, there was nothing planned, it just happened. So we had all the horseback riders and the horses come in. We had the women and children walk, where the women and children walked in. We had the youth who ran in. We had the Indian motorcycles. The motorcycles come in. We had all of our spiritual leaders. All at the last minute, they all converged on this day. So we went in and we told them of our objections. And then the horses and everybody rode to the new established camp. And I hadn't been out there, so I was following the horses, and they gave me a call. LaDonna, they're putting up teepees out on your land. I said, okay. So I got out there, and they were putting up these teepees, and this guy came and said, I have a pipe. I'll bless the land. And Face Spotted Eagle said, I'm here with the water. We'll do the water ceremony, purify the land. And we had a young girl who carried the water. It was just how things meant to be. So the first fire went out. And the people who stayed there on that first night stayed with no wood because we had no planning. And so the next day the community started bringing out food. And then I had to go home and talk to my husband. I said, we started a camp. We have no money. I am taking half of my paycheck from now on for this camp. And he said, okay. So that's how the camp started. We took our funds and started buying supplies on April 1st. Everybody can hear these stories on YouTube or whatever. So we transpired into the middle. We started the camp. We did training, nonviolent direct action training, security training, media training. We were trying to train as many people. We made a commitment right at the beginning. We only stand in prayer. We made a commitment that we pray every day. We asked everybody who came to the camp to go to the fire and leave tobacco and pray, because we had to stand in prayer. And then on September 3rd, everything changed. So it is our anniversary commemoration. On September 3rd, for my people, they massacred us on that day, and my great-great-grandma, Pape Hutawea, was there at 9 years old, and they shot her. It's only because she lived that I'm able to stand here. So I was telling this story about our family. And Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Was interviewing me. And I got the phone call. And they said, LaDonna, the bulldozers are here. I said, stop them. And they said, women are not quite sure what to do. And then I said bad things. Push them out of the way and call the women and children. Stop them. And I told Amy, I can't talk to you no more. I got to go. She said, I'm following you. I give thanks every day. She followed me on that day. I made it up to the fence, and people were crying everywhere. And just as I got out of my truck, the guy came and pepper sprayed the whole line of women and children. And then there were the dogs. And I went out into the front, and I remember they had that big gray-headed dog that was here, and this woman had a black dog over here, and she was sigging it on the people, and it was full of blood, and people were hollering and everything, and I just stood there. And I prayed because I thought, where am I? Is this America? Is this what it is? And then the young, I could hear them, Unchi, grandma, get behind us. And the young men came out of nowhere, and their horses started a barricade between the women and the men that were shooting the pepper spray at them. And then the young men started chasing them and moving them down. Why did this happen? because 3 days before we went out and marked all the graves, there was a huge turtle effigy out there in the middle of there. So we marked it. We marked all of this. And we thought we were doing right. So we sent this information to the judge in our court case, and he gave it to Dakota Access. And Dakota Access left their project and drove 20 miles to this spot and dug up our sites. That was the beginning of the military action. So from that point on, it became really hectic. We had some amazing young warriors who came and made a commitment. They would stay at the front line. They created a camp there to watch the grave sites. They were amazing. And I would go up there and bring supplies and food, and these guys would pray. I'd go up there and we'd pray. They were amazing people. They became the frontline people. And then each day, the military became worse. To the point, by October, it was a daily occurrence of getting shot, pepper sprayed, maced. By November, everything changed. They went up to military strategy. So they upped the grade to military mace. They upped the grade to percussion grenades. The Allard machine that they brought in, and you know that machine that makes that noise that make you fall down and throw up. And the missiles to shoot down the drones. And they were in full military gear. And they had snipers all around us, fully armed. And the group that Dakota Access Commission was Black Swan and the Blackwater vigilante groups, who are the ones that were hired to go against us. And we continue to tell people to stay in prayer. Things got really hard. I know that there's a young man who I'll forever, ever think of as a warrior. And he'd come off the front line, and I was standing there, and he said, "Grandma, the mace don't even hurt anymore. But I saved this many women." So every time they were going to spray, he'd jump in front of the women or the grandmas to keep them. There were these kind of courageous people out there constantly. Amazing young men, amazing young women. I would go and tell them, "Can you feel it? Can you feel the healing coming right out of the ground? Can you feel the healing that's going right across indigenous nations? Can you feel it? Because we are standing up now." And so I watch young people who come from really hard homes. On the reservation, we have hard times. You know, whether it's drugs or alcohol or abuse. And they were there. They were standing. They had a vision, a hope, a dream now. And one of the things that happened out there was the rebirth of language, song, and dance. The rebirth of prayer and ceremony. I was saying on my every given day, I was honored to go to ceremony with so many different indigenous tribes across the world. I think 17 was the most prayer ceremonies I went through in one day, where people came to bless the water, people came to pray. I remember I called a meeting with all the women and had them come and talk. I was telling them, you know, water is female. It is the female's responsibility to stand up for that water. And the grandma said, "We need to go pray for that water." I said, "Yeah, that's really a good idea." I get off work at about 5 o'clock, and they said, "No." 4 o'clock in the morning, we meet at the river. I was like, okay. So I got down to the river, and they told everybody, you know, bring some dried meat and tobacco and stuff, and go down and pray down the water. So I got down, and it was dark, and I couldn't see anybody. And finally, I seen Faith Spotted Eagle. She's from the Yankton Reservation. And so me and Faith, she said, "I don't think anybody else came." And I said, well, that's okay, we'll go pray. So me and her made it down, and we put our tobacco. And just as we did that, we stood up here, singing down the river, singing down the river. And then here comes canoes of women canoeing and singing down the river. When they stopped us, they said, you can't see, but we could see from the river. Both banks are lined with women. To me, that was a very powerful event that happened, but that was just one. There were numerous. I could go down when I was delivering supplies and pull in, and there were all day long and all night long water ceremonies and people praying at the water. It was amazing to see. But as you know, things change. As you know, and I have no details, I don't know anything, but I know in December, whatever happened, everything changed. The state of North Dakota and Morton County started their program. They hired strategists, military strategists, and media people. And so the media started putting out what we call yellow journalism. And the media started with their own videos of what they thought and started putting into the press. There are paid protesters. Nobody's getting paid to protest. These people are all from out of state. There's no Indian people there. And I was like, I don't know what happened to us. Every day there would be something new coming out in the papers, and we'd say, well, that's not true. And then, as you know, military strategy, when you have a movement that is so strong, what do? You send in infiltrators. And what do infiltrators do? Spread gossip. EAPI, we call it. I used to say, I want a t-shirt that says EAPI Schneelo in my language, no gossip. And so they would go out, and every day there would be somebody that we knew would say, they're raiding the camp today. They're raiding the camp today, and it would keep everybody like. But there was never no raids at camps. And then, oh, and this person is making all this money, and this person is making all this money. I think me and my granddaughter sat in a chair, and she said, Grandma, look, they said you have $3 million. I said, oh, yes. Oh, wait, no, Grandma, now you have $6 million. Grandma, you have $8 million. And I said, we didn't even move the chair. How do you divide a people? By pitting them against each other. And then the other thing is the pipeline is all completed, and there's oil running to it. The pipeline to this day is not completed. I don't know how it is. So whatever happened, and I don't know, they allowed the governor to remove the camp at Osheti. And it was a hard thing. I remember when we heard the day had come, I told them, I said, I don't know what to do. I only know what tradition tells us. So we went on the hilltops all through. And we sat on the hilltops and we went, la, 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 which is our way to give them strength and give them courage. And we prayed on all those hilltops. And it was a cold, drizzly, snowy day, but we stood there, continually trying to give the courage to the people that over at Osheti. And then, as soon as the military moved them in, and they were military, fully armed, as they came through, the people came over to the camp. And then the next day, they removed Rosebud. And we thought, illusions. Because I was on the reservation, we thought they would not come for us. We thought because we stood in prayer. And so they served us a notice. It was an eviction notice. It says, possible trespassers on tribal trust land. And I'm not still quite sure what that meant. And so we sat down as a camp, said, what do we do? And they said, we stand in prayer, we continue the prayer. We will move everything to another location. So we started moving all of our belongings. And the police had told us we will not come in as long as you guys are moving. Okay. Then it was about 4 days later, they said, we're going to do a soft blockade just to make sure you guys are moving. And we are not allowing no water in the camp. And I said, I have over 100 people with women and children in the camp and elders. So they gave us 5 gallons for 100 people a day. Okay, we had really good people who were coming around the other way trying to get us water. But we continued to move. And then they told us we were given direction to do a hard blockade. That means that we're not letting anybody in the camp. We're going to do it at noon. And so I said, let's go in and gather what we could. We got there. They went ahead and did the hard blockade at 10 a.m. There were some individuals who have been working 24/7 to try to get everybody out in property, and figured they had one more haul, so they left their belongings to help other people. We've had young men who walked out with just the clothes they had on and could not get any of their property, their pipes, their sacred objects, and they wouldn't let them back in. And then the police came in. We were able to retain enough of our property to set up and get everybody safe. And then they started hunting the water protectors. So we have to protect the water protectors. And so we were moving people everywhere, getting people safe. We sat down and said, maybe right now, because of everything everybody's gone through, get your plane tickets, bus tickets, gas tickets, go home, breathe, and then move. Re-strategize. And so that's where we're at. We do have a temporary camp that's we've kept secret. And everybody said, what do we do from here? We continue our mission. So our first mission is food sovereignty. If you're going to stand up, you have to be able to feed yourself. So our first move is planting. We started set plants. We have all our garden plots ready, and we are going full pledge in organic farming. So we want to teach people how to live green. And one of the things that I learned through this whole process was indigenous people are on the hands. We're here. We're at this level. We know how to live on the earth. And what I'm finding as I'm going around environmental groups and stuff, they're 3rd, 4th, 5th generation removed from living on the land. And so what I seen in the camps was the ability to teach people how to live on the land. Because I'm getting old, but when I grew up, we lived with no running water, no electricity. We hauled our own wood, we hauled our water. I hauled the water from the Cannibal River when I was a kid. And so we still live off the land. We still gather, we still hunt, we still prepare our own food, we still prepare our own medicines, and we still have that connection to the earth. We still understand the water is sacred. And so I always tell people, the roots go right out of my feet down into the earth. And where I live, I love that land. And I love my river. Right now in that place, that's where all the eagles nest. That's where every morning you get up and you see the buffalo out there. And of course those pesky turkeys that are always forever. Or the coyotes, occasional mountain lion. But every bit of the animals that live there. But not only that, I and my family, Tatanka Ohi Dika was the spiritual leader for our people. Him and White Spirit put the medicine in that ground to bless that ground 100 years ago. I know where the Sundance sites are there. I know where the ceremonial sites. I know that right there is where the Mandan people originated into the world after the second great flood. I know where the Rikra villages are. This area is an area where it was a multiple tribe trading complex. So we had Pawnee, we had Arikara, we had Mandan, we had Lakota, Dakota, Cheyenne, that all lived in this area because it was a major trade route. And then right where this area was the narrowest crossing in the river. So people would cross the river there. When the Army Corps came in and flooded us in the 1950s, they made part of the land an island. So where Dakota Access was proposing to drill under our river is an island that's all a burial ground. And I always used to ask them, what's going to happen when you're shaking the earth? What's going to happen? Are you going to bring those people up? And we're going to have to pick our people off the ground again. Who has to do that? I have a lot of issues with what's happening with extractive fuel. So, we're continuing on. We are going to a full-fledged village of green energy because I think indigenous people have that knowledge to start teaching the world how to live on the earth. Okay, that's all nice. The other thing I learned was we have the struggles from the world. And I just came back from the Indigenous Permanent Forum at the UN. And one of the things that I learned at the UN is we're all in the same boat. From the tip of Africa to Norway, to the tip of Argentina, to the tip of Canada, we're in the same boat. They come after indigenous people. They come after the lands. And right now, in the whole world, indigenous people hold the most natural land left in this world. And the indigenous people have the most purest water right now. I was talking with a group from Australia, the Aboriginals. They have actually had to hide their water spots because if anybody finds out, the cattle industry comes and takes their water for their cattle. So we're in the same boat. So one of the things that happened at the UN in the last 8 days was every Aboriginal nation stood up and said, Mini-Wachoni. It's like, who knew the language of the Water is life. And they stand with Standing Rock. And I always say, no, it's not that anymore. It's standing with the world. Standing with the world. We as indigenous people need to unify everywhere. We need to stand together because what happened at Standing Rock was an empowerment of the people. When all those nations came to stand together, the people of the world came to stand together, there was healing, there was power, there was joy, there was song, there was prayer, there was ceremony, and there was laughter. There was healing. And that is why today I'm having some issues. I was telling them, this young man, Jeff, came down and lived at the camp. And he was out at every direct action. And he was out there fighting. And they were teasing him because Jeff has issues. And one day, the police were coming, and Jeff knew he could not run away with the rest of the people, so he just sat down on the ground and refused to move. He removed his artificial leg and threw it to the people and said, keep my leg, keep my leg. And he sat down, and the police could not move him. He is an amazing warrior. He said, when the camp ended, he went home. He was in South Carolina. He said, I was sitting in my apartment. I said, why am I sitting here? I'm all by myself. He got in a real bad car accident because he's a young man. He said all of his friends left. People refer to him as a cripple now. And he's alone. But when he was in Standing Rock, he was never alone. Nobody cared he had one leg. He was just family. So he showed up at my house saying, hey, I bought a house in the small community next to you. I'm staying here. Because the fight has just begun. What do you do when they come for your people? Stand up and fight back. What do you do when they come for your water? You stand up and fight back. Now, things have changed. One of the things that I see was the empowerment of the people. And that sounds like just words, but it's a whole lot more. It's like a feeling, like I said, just coming out of the ground. I also, as I was standing there that day after the dogs, all the people came and they all surrounded in a big ceremony. Everybody prayed for our relatives and the desecration. Everybody prayed. And I remember walking off the ground and I was watching all these people. And I noticed at the end, there's great big tall feathers. Oh, the Aztec people are here, and they were smudging everybody as they were coming off the ground. And I started looking, I was like, oh my God, I think there's about every tribal nation I could imagine standing here. I am living and seeing prophecy of the eagle and condor coming together. The other one is when the seventh generation stands up to heal the world. This movement is all the youth. This movement was started by the youth. This movement is every one of their footsteps as they put their feet on the ground and ran. First they ran on Standing Rock, then they ran to Omaha, then they ran to Washington, D.C. Then each of these young people ran to the four directions to the camp. They put their feet on the ground. They were the beginning of this movement. But they also were something else that they taught us. Technology. They taught us live stream, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They were able to put this out to the world in a second. And media is everything. So one of the first things I learned was start supporting indigenous media. And so we have some amazing indigenous media that are out there now, getting out the word. What are we going to do from here? My whole thing, as we are living prophecy, we are seeing prophecy. We are a part of prophecy right at this moment. So when the prophecy said, when the black snake comes to devour the earth, if we don't stand up and stop it, our world ends. So we must stand and stop it. And when I was young, I remember listening, as the older people were talking about this black snake. What is a black snake? And I remember they thought it was the interstate and the highways because this road was black. They were saying, well, how does that kill people? People get run over, people are... But then when they found out the pipeline, every time the pipeline spills, it kills everything. It kills the earth, it kills the water, it kills all the animals. Why are we continuing to use a system that is death? We right now all are in cars. Flew here in a plane, our electricity. We understand that. We understand that the economic system that is created for us is a system that has us by the throat because we cannot afford an electric car and we cannot afford all of these things. So my proposal to everybody, starting today, you create that plan. Every day you do something to divest from fossil fuel. And in 20 years, we can be green. And for those other people, we'll be green tomorrow. Because we still have indigenous people who live in the bush, who know how to live on the earth. We still have hunting camps. We still have fishing camps. We still have all of these things that have that knowledge. And we need to start endorsing our own people. I truly believe no matter where you are, indigenous knowledge can save the world. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. When I've got a big mouth, so. When I said at the beginning, and I didn't realize what I was saying, but I was this, who comes to the camp? And I said, for me, I don't care if you're blue, purple, or orange. I don't care how you pray or who you pray to. If you're going to stand with me and pray with me, you're welcome. And I think that's where we need to be. We need to all stand together and stop the separations, because one of the things I was like, I don't know about anybody else, but in my tribe, we sometimes think, we must be the only tribe in the whole world. We're the greatest tribe on earth. We tend to get into those kind of things. And I always remember the day that the crow came in. The Pawnee came in. It was like, wow. And they said, we stand with you. And that evening, I had dinner with a Pawnee and a crow. And I was like, oh my God, I'm having dinner with my enemies. Healing, unity, that's how we change things. Stand together, because if you are indigenous, you're trauma. We have unresolved stored grief. And what I mean by that, because when people first started telling me that, I was like, I don't know if I believe that, Everybody's responsible for their own life. And my real job before all this, I'm a historian, so I do a lot of history and genealogy and backgrounds, and so they invited me to go to Whitestone to talk about my grandma. I talked about my grandma everywhere. We just grew up like that. But I never went to the massacre site. And so they invited me to come talk. And it was just like, okay, I can do that. So I got myself some tobacco together, made tobacco ties and berries and water, and made my offerings. And we got over there, and I was just kind of all tough. And I stepped on there. And it was just like automatic grief. It was like I could hear people screaming and hollering. It was like I was there in that moment. In my mind, I kept on saying, this is not me. I was not there. This was my grandmother that was there. I was not there. But the grief was so overwhelming. And that's when I knew and understand the story. And then I understand what every indigenous person goes through. Whether you know it or not. You put this foot forward and you go like this because you're unsure, because that grief holds you. So with that, it is time to heal. It is time to go on. Just it's time to take over the world. What it really is, it's time to stand together. It's time to unify. Because if you stay on this level, oh, she was looking at me, and I don't like the way she's looking at me. If you stay on this level, we will never unify. If you go on this level, we are all human beings. And when we are human beings, we have compassion for each other. That's where we need to be at. Each of us has knowledge and a gift. I was up in Alaska 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about unifying all the Alaskan tribes because they have had the pipeline through them 40 years? 20 years, it's been a long time. And I said, so what benefits has the pipeline been for the indigenous people? And they said, right now, in this moment in time, we have the highest homeless rate of the indigenous people. We have the largest climate change going around us. We have people who cannot live in their homes because their homes are falling into the water. We have people who have come to the cities with no place to go. What was the benefit? The 1%ers. So what do you do? Because I said, there's a man out there. He's laying in that street. He's drunk. But he has the most knowledge of our culture you ever want to see. We should be helping each other. We should be helping each other to heal. So that's all I have to say. I truly believe in unifying. I truly believe in standing together. And that is my message.